did too. I almost left the time out earlier at 5:05.
Yeah, but we're not.
I knew I was rabbit trailing.
You can do it, Charlie.
Alright, so my story begins with where I was born. I was born in Indiana on a farm. I'm a country boy at heart. You look at me right now, most people, when I tell them I grew up on a farm, they're like, no, you didn't. I'm like, yeah, I really did. But at heart, I am a country boy. You want to go mudding out in the field, you want to tear up a cornfield, you know? I'm down for that. That's a fun time, you know? I go and throw some hay, you know? Stack it up on top of that wagon. It's a good time to me, all right? I love that life that I grew up with. And my family, I come from a big family. My father had 5 siblings, and my mom had 10. And so I come from a big family. And I have, myself, 3 older brothers, and I have 1 younger brother. And that's a very significant thing to me, and I'm going to tell you why in just a second. But the culture that I grew up with was that farming culture, that work hard culture. You work till the sun goes down. You don't stop. That was my life until basically high school, because much like Annie, I was homeschooled until my freshman year, and then I went to public school, mostly because I wanted to wrestle. All right, I'm a wrestler, tough, and did it my whole life up until my senior year of high school. And I also ran cross country in high school, obviously. That was more preparation for wrestling. It wasn't my main sport. I enjoyed it. I do enjoy running. I enjoy working out now. And it's just something, it's how I grew up. Hard work. That's what I know. That's what I do. And I viewed my education was obviously homeschooled. I hated it. Despite, I hated doing schoolwork, and I would often lie to my mom. She's like, did you do schoolwork today? I was like, yeah, come on, Mom, of course I did, except for I didn't. The awesome part about being homeschooled, though, was that you could wake up at noon, and you could literally, if you actually did the work, you could be done in a couple hours and free for the rest of the day. I never did that. I was just free all day, went outside, played, and awesome stuff. But that's how I viewed education until about my sophomore year of high school. And my sophomore year of high school was when I started to really take advantage of my education, and I really developed this thirst for knowledge where I wanted to know more, and I wanted to learn more. And I really appreciated the fact that I got to go to school, because I know there's a lot of people that don't have that chance to learn and have that education. And so I was saved at an early age. I was saved at 7. My mom did this thing called Child Evangelism Fellowship. I don't know if many of you guys have heard of that. It is basically she would go around to different neighborhoods and set it up with people at people's houses and invite the kids from the neighborhood and basically share the gospel with them, share Bible stories with them. It was really cool. And I just remember one story. I forget what the story was, but I remember it talked about the joy that Jesus can provide us. And I remember that, and I was like, man, I want that. I want that joy. Now, at that time, I had confused joy with happiness, two very different things, as I found out later on in my life. And so I got saved when I was 7, grew up in the church, Christian home, Christian family. And as I went throughout my life, going up, including up into high school, I would describe myself as a lukewarm Christian. And there would be times where I'd have spiritual highs and be like, yeah, I'm fired for Jesus, and go get it, and be like, yeah. And then there'd be times when it's just whatever, it's cool, it's who I am, it's what I do. That all changed the summer actually before my senior year of high school. I went on a trip called Operation Barnabas. And Operation Barnabas, this is, I think every kid that is in high school should go on this, because it is a life-changing event where you're traveling around on a bus for 6 weeks in the summer with 30 other high school teenagers and 4 or 5 adult leaders. You're traveling around to churches and just encouraging them and ministering to the people in that community, doing stuff like puppet shows and sharing the gospel with them. It was an awesome thing, and God just really used Operation Barnabas to change my heart and to change who I was. And I realized up to that point, I was like, man, I have been a terrible representation of what a follower of Christ should be, and that really bothered me, and that upset me a lot. And so on Operation Barnabas, I really decided that, man, this senior year of high school, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go hard for Jesus. I'm going to go all in for Jesus. And it was actually on that trip that I decided that I would come to LBC, which was really weird because it wasn't even on my radar. at the time before that senior year because I had schools picked out. I wanted to be a high school social studies teacher, and I was looking at some of the best like education schools with education programs, and it was awesome. I enjoyed it. Loved to teach. I loved history. But God changing my heart, realized that I knew Scott and Lindsay Boyer really well because of a youth conference that I would go to every year, and LBC was there. That's the connection. And my youth pastor in high school actually graduated from here, and he was born here. And this is his domicile, and he encouraged me to check it out and look at it. And so I did, checked it out. I came out and visited this spring of my senior year, and I was like, wow, God, this is the place that I should be. This is where you've called me to be in student ministry, because I still love to teach, and I love the high school age, junior high age. It's just where my heart is to pursue them. And so, in coming to that point, coming to LBC, one of the biggest things that I have adopted as my life, this is kind of my life motto. If you are friends with me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, you'll see this all over the place. This is #MakeWar. And this is the theme of my life, and this idea of making war and fighting and knowing that this life that we live is not an easy thing to do. It's a hard thing to follow Jesus, and we need to go at it with ferocity and intensity, which is where I mentioned before, growing up with 3 older brothers and 1 younger brother, there was a lot of intensity going on. There was a lot of fights that were physical fights, and in wrestling, it's an intense thing, and it's a fight. It's hard, and you have to be persistent, and you have to keep working hard. As this is just a theme of my life here, is like you go hard. You go hard for Jesus. You go hard at whatever you're doing, and you fight hard. And so, in this idea of making war, the reason that we make war is because we know that Jesus has already won the victory for us. He has overcome the grave, and he has won it for us. But every day there are still battles that we need to fight, and there are battles that we are called to fight, and there are battles going on that sometimes we aren't aware of spiritually. And so why we fight is to become more like Christ, is to pursue him and to become more like him daily, on a daily basis. And so this theme of my life is basically, as I look back on my life, this has been a theme my whole life, but I never really noticed it until last year. And I was like, this is how I should live. This is how I've lived, and this is how we all should live. So as an encouragement to you guys, this life's hard. You're going to go through trials. You're going to go through storms. But to know that Jesus has already won the victory for us, and that he's already fought for us, should be a great encouragement, and should be the thing that gets us through any storm. So, it's my life. Thank you.
Stu for listening. Come on now.
It's my life, I will never.
Should we probably start?
Yep, let's go.
That was good.
That was good.
You had great eye contact, and
Great eyes.
your gestures were great too. Those seemed pretty intentional, so that was good.
I liked your intentional pauses. Like, you just like, and then you're like, I don't know, it's just kind of like, it made